The forest was quiet that night, too quiet. The kind of silence that creeps under your skin and makes your heartbeat sound louder than thunder. The moonlight poured through the twisted branches, and the air was heavy, thick with the smell of moss and fear. Elena had been walking for hours. Her boots were torn, her hands scraped, her eyes wide with exhaustion. She'd been running from something that didn't belong in the world of men. Every few minutes, she could hear it behind her, the sound of breathing that wasn't human, the crunch of enormous claws pressing into the earth. She stumbled forward, clutching the small pendant around her neck, the last thing her father had given her before he disappeared into this same cursed forest. He had told her stories when she was young, stories about the ancient language of dragons, words that could command nature itself. But they were just stories, weren't they? A branch snapped behind her. She turned, too fast. Her breath caught in her throat. From the shadows, two red eyes glowed like burning coals. Then came the sound, a low, guttural growl that seemed to come from everywhere at once. The creature stepped into the moonlight. It was massive, black scales glistening like polished stone, long arms ending in curved claws, its mouth dripping with dark, smoking saliva. It wasn't a dragon, not quite. It was something twisted, something born from one. Elena froze. Her mind screamed for her to run, but her body wouldn't move. The beast growled again, louder this time, shaking the air. And then, out of nowhere, someone stepped between her and the monster. A tall man, cloaked in dark leather, his face hidden under the shadow of a hood. He held no weapon, no shield, nothing but a calmness that didn't belong in a moment like this. Elena's voice trembled. Who are you? He didn't answer. He simply looked back at her, his eyes sharp and strange, golden, like sunlight reflecting on molten metal. Then he turned to the creature. The monster lunged, roaring, claws cutting through the air. Elena screamed, but before it could reach her, the man raised his hand and roared one word, burn. The sound tore through the forest like a storm. The ground shook, the air hissed with sudden heat. From his palms, fire erupted, not ordinary fire, but flames alive, moving like serpents. They coiled around the monster, devouring its black scales. The creature screamed, thrashing, but the fire didn't stop. Within seconds, it was nothing but ash swirling in the cold night wind. Elena collapsed to her knees, gasping. The air smelled of smoke and something ancient, something powerful. He lowered his hand, the light fading from his eyes. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Only the crackle of dying flames filled the silence. Finally, she whispered, What was that? He turned to her slowly, his expression unreadable. Then, for the first time, he smiled, a faint, tired smile. A word my mother taught me, he said softly. The language of dragons. She blinked. Dragons? That's impossible. They're extinct. He looked at her, the fire's reflection dancing in his eyes. Not all of them, he said. And not everything that's dead stays gone. Elena stared at the ashes where the creature had stood. Was that one of them? No, he said, his voice lower now. That was something made from them. Someone is trying to bring them back, not as dragons, but as weapons. Her heart raced. Why would anyone do that? He sighed. Power. Always power. He walked to the ashes, knelt, and picked up a single glowing scale that had survived the fire. It pulsed faintly, like it still breathed. This one was sent to hunt you. Me, she gasped. Why me? He turned, his golden eyes narrowing. Because of that, he said, pointing to the pendant around her neck. She looked down. The small crystal inside the pendant was glowing faintly now, a soft orange light. My father gave me this, she whispered. He said it would protect me. The man nodded. It's a dragon's heartstone, pure fire energy. That's why the creature came after you, to take it back. Elena held it tight. My father, he disappeared here years ago. You're saying he knew about this? He looked away, his voice quiet. He didn't just know. He was one of us. She stared. One of you. You mean, you can speak their language? He nodded. My name is Kale. My bloodline traces back to the first dragon tamers. My mother taught me the words before she died, words that can call the wind, summon rain, and command fire. Elena's voice trembled. Then you can stop them, whoever's making these monsters. Kale's expression darkened. I can try, but the power of dragon speech is fading. The old words are being forgotten, and when they're gone, so is our chance to stop what's coming. The wind picked up, scattering the ashes into the trees. Somewhere in the distance, another roar echoed, fainter, but closer than before. Elena looked around nervously. There's more of them. Kale stood tall, pulling his cloak tighter. Always. The fire only draws them closer. She rose shakily to her feet. Then what do we do? He looked at her pendant again. We find where it came from. If your father gave that to you, it means he found the source, the last true dragon heart. If we reach it before they do, we might have a chance to seal this power forever. Elena nodded, fear and determination mixing in her eyes. Then I'm coming with you. He frowned. It's dangerous. You saw what that thing almost did to you. I don't care, she said, her voice firm. My father started this. I'm not hiding while the world burns. Kale hesitated, then gave a small nod. Very well, he said. But remember this, the fire listens only to those who speak with purpose. Say the wrong word, and it will consume you instead. As they began walking deeper into the forest, the air grew warmer, glowing faintly red between the trees. In the distance, the cave was alive with sound, the kind of sound that makes your bones vibrate. Water dripped from unseen heights, echoing endlessly, while somewhere deep inside, something moved. Lara pressed herself against the cold stone wall, trying to quiet her breath. Her lantern flickered weakly, barely illuminating the jagged path ahead. She had been searching for her brother for 2 days now, ever since the ground split open near their village and swallowed him whole. People said it was a cave-in, but the elders whispered otherwise. They spoke of a beast, a creature that slept beneath the earth, feeding on echoes, growing stronger with every sound. A monster that hated noise, yet hunted it. And now, Lara knew they were right. The growl came again, deep, rolling, like thunder trapped in the earth. Pebbles tumbled from the ceiling. The air vibrated with its anger. Keep quiet, said a voice beside her. She turned sharply. The man had appeared without a sound, tall, wrapped in dark cloth, eyes glimmering silver under the faint light. Who are you? She whispered. Someone who doesn't want to die, he said calmly, stepping past her. His voice was soft, but it carried command, like a whisper that still filled the air. The monster's growl turned into a rumble, closer now. The air grew thicker, heavier, as if the cave itself was breathing. Lara could see its shadow forming on the wall, massive, shifting, impossibly wide. She felt her heart hammering. We need to run. He didn't move. No, running only feeds it. The shape emerged fully, a creature of stone and shadow, its body bending and twisting as though made of living rock. Dozens of eyes glowed red across its face, and its mouth opened to reveal rows of jagged teeth that glistened like shards of glass. The sound it made wasn't just a roar. It was pain, anger, hunger, a sound that tore into the mind. Lara clutched her ears and fell to her knees. Please, make it stop. The man's eyes flickered. He raised his hands slowly, palms open to the air. Close your eyes, he said. She didn't hesitate. He inhaled deeply, as though drawing power from the darkness itself, then shouted one word, a word that seemed to shatter reality. Silence. The sound hit like a wave. And then, everything stopped. The roar died instantly. The dripping water froze in midair. Dust and stones hung motionless around them. Even the echo of the word vanished before it could return. The world had gone completely still. Lara opened her eyes slowly. The creature was frozen, its mouth wide open, its claws inches from her face, yet it didn't move. It was like time itself had stopped breathing. She stared, trembling. What did you do? The man lowered his hands, his eyes glowing faintly as the air shimmered with invisible energy. I silenced it. But how? She whispered. That wasn't magic. It felt different. He looked at her with a faint, tired smile. Because it isn't magic, it's command. Her brow furrowed. Command. The first tongue, he said softly. The language before all others. Every sound in this world obeys it, wind, thunder, even a heartbeat. Speak the right word, and the world listens. Lara looked around at the stillness that surrounded them. You mean, you spoke to the cave? I spoke to the sound, he said, and told it to stop. She stared at him, her voice trembling. Who are you? He hesitated. My name is Can. My people once guarded this cave. We kept it asleep with silence. But when your village started mining here, you woke it up. Lara's heart sank. We didn't know. I know, he said softly. But it doesn't care. The beast is made of sound and stone. It feeds on vibration. The more noise you make, the stronger it gets. And the harder it becomes to silence. He stepped closer to the monster's frozen form. Its eyes flickered faintly, like dying embers. The word won't hold forever, he said. When silence breaks, it will rise again. Lara stood, trembling. Then what do we do? Can glanced back at her. We end it. The heart of the beast lies deep within this cave, the echo core. If it's destroyed, the creature will crumble. But the path is not quiet. One wrong sound, and it will wake. She took a shaky breath. Then let me help you. He studied her face, saw the fear, and the resolve behind it. Fine, he said, but you'll have to follow every command I give. No talking, no sound. She nodded. They began walking deeper into the still cave, every step slow and deliberate. The world remained trapped in silence, even their breathing seemed muted. The lantern no longer flickered. It simply glowed, suspended in frozen air. Finally, they reached a wide chamber, filled with mirrors of stone and shimmering crystals that pulsed faintly with trapped light. In the center, a large orb floated, glowing with a deep red hue. The air around it quivered faintly, like a drumbeat just out of hearing. Can whispered, barely audible, "That's the core. The heart of all sound." Lara watched in awe. "It's beautiful. Don't speak," he hissed. The orb pulsed once, louder, brighter. Cracks appeared in the still air around them. Can gritted his teeth. "It's hearing us." He raised his hand again, the veins in his neck straining as he whispered a different word, one Lara didn't understand. The cracks stopped spreading, but the silence was beginning to fade. Lara could feel her heartbeat again. The air was warming, trembling. The creature behind them was waking. "Can," she gasped. "It's moving." He looked back, and indeed, the frozen monster had begun to twitch, dust shaking from its claws. Can's eyes burned bright silver. "Then we end this now." He reached for the orb, and it screamed. Not in sound, but in vibration. The entire cave shook. Lara fell backward as shards of crystal shattered around them. Can shouted one final word, his voice echoing through the stone. Silence. The light exploded. For a moment, there was nothing. No sound, no sight, only white. Then, slowly, the world returned. Lara opened her eyes to see Can lying on the ground, the orb gone, only ash in its place. The monster had vanished. The cave was calm, truly calm. She crawled to him, tears in her eyes. "Can, are you?" He opened his eyes weakly, smiling faintly. "It's done." The silence is pure again. "You saved us," she whispered. He looked at her, his gaze distant. "Silence isn't the absence of sound," he murmured. "It's the space where the world listens back." And with that, his eyes closed. The cave was still, peaceful. Outside, when Lara finally stepped into the dawn light, she could still feel it, a strange, powerful quiet that stretched across the forest. For the first time in centuries, the earth rested. And somewhere, far beneath her feet, in the eternal dark, a single whisper remained, not a roar, not a scream. Just one lingering word, echoing faintly through the stone. The night was made of silver and shadow. The moon hung low over the forest, pouring pale light across the mist that curled between the trees like whispers from another world. The wind carried the sound of something hunting, claws scraping against rock, the deep rasp of breath that didn't belong to anything human. Alira ran. Her feet struck the forest floor, scattering leaves and dust. Behind her, the earth trembled under the weight of the beast. She didn't dare look back. Every instinct screamed, "Don't stop." Every heartbeat was a countdown. Branches whipped her arms as she pushed through the undergrowth. She could taste blood on her tongue, feel her pulse pounding in her ears. Somewhere in the distance, she could see a clearing bathed in moonlight, if she could just reach it. The growl came again, closer, too close. Then the world erupted. The beast burst through the trees in a storm of splintered bark and shadow. Its body was a mass of darkness, fur like smoke, teeth like blades of moonlight. Its eyes burned with hunger, ancient, endless. Alira stumbled and fell hard, her hands scraping against cold stone. She turned just in time to see the creature rear up, towering over her. Its jaw opened wide, dripping with black saliva that hissed when it hit the ground. And then, Alira, the voice tore through the night like lightning. Everything stopped. The beast froze mid-lunge, its claws inches from her chest. The air shimmered, bending around them. Time itself seemed to hesitate. Then, like dust caught in a sudden wind, the creature's body began to dissolve, fragments of darkness scattering into the air, until nothing remained but silence and moonlight. Alira gasped, trembling, her wide eyes turning toward the sound. He stood there, Kale, breathing hard, sweat glistening on his forehead, eyes glowing faintly gold in the moonlight. His voice still echoed faintly in the trees, though he hadn't spoken again. She struggled to her feet, her voice shaking. My name, you shouted my name. He nodded slowly. Because your name remembered what you forgot. She blinked, tears stinging her eyes. What are you talking about? Kale took a step closer, his tone soft but steady. Names hold power. Real names, not the ones given by others, but the ones carved into the soul. When I called your name, I wasn't calling you. I was calling the truth of you, the part untouched by fear. Alira tried to speak, but no words came. The forest was utterly still again, save for the rustling of dying leaves. She finally whispered, you mean, love did that? Kale smiled faintly. Love isn't a feeling, Alira. It's a memory, and memories are stronger than monsters. He looked around the clearing, his eyes scanning the shadows. But that thing, it shouldn't have been here. Not yet, she frowned. What was it? Something born of despair, he murmured. A creature that feeds on forgotten names. When people stop remembering who they are, it takes their form, and their strength. Alira shivered. So it came for me because I forgot, myself. Kale nodded. You lost faith. Fear took root. It called to it. Her gaze dropped to the ground. I thought I was strong. After the war, after everything I survived. You are strong, he said, stepping closer. But strength isn't the absence of fear. It's remembering who you are despite it. Their eyes met, and for a moment, neither spoke. The moonlight glowed brighter, and the mist parted around them like a curtain. Finally, she asked, how did you know my name would stop it? Kale hesitated. Because it once stopped mine. She looked at him, puzzled. What do you mean? He turned away slightly, his expression distant. Long ago, I faced one of those beasts. I nearly lost. And then, someone I loved called my name. The sound pulled me back. It reminded me who I was before the fear, before the darkness. Alira stepped closer, her voice gentle. Who was it? He smiled sadly. My sister. She's gone now. The words hung heavy in the cool night air. Alira wanted to say something, but the wind rose again, carrying with it a faint, low hum. Kale's head snapped up. No, he whispered. Not again. The ground beneath them trembled. The moonlight flickered. From the far edge of the clearing, the shadows began to twist, forming shapes, faint outlines of more creatures crawling out of the darkness. Alira's heart raced. There's more. There's always more, Kale said grimly. Fear never comes alone. He reached for her hand. You must trust me. Whatever happens, don't stop hearing your name. She squeezed his hand, nodding. Then say it again. He met her gaze, golden eyes fierce. Not yet. You say it. Speak it until you believe it. She swallowed hard, her voice trembling. Alira. The shadows drew closer, shifting like waves. Louder, he said. Alira. The ground quaked. The creatures hissed. He stepped in front of her, drawing a symbol in the air with his free hand, a circle of faint light. Names are not just sound, he said, his voice rising. They are truth. Speak yours, she shouted. Alira. The world answered. A pulse of white light burst from her chest, spreading outward like ripples through water. The shadows screamed, not in pain, but in recognition. The wave consumed them, turning every trace of darkness into dust. When it was over, silence returned once more. Kale fell to one knee, breathing hard, the glow fading from his eyes. Alira knelt beside him, placing her hand on his shoulder. You saved me again. He shook his head weakly. No, you saved yourself. I just reminded you of your power. She smiled through her tears. And what about you? Who reminds you? Kale looked up at the stars. I listen. The world speaks in echoes, and sometimes, it says my name back. A gentle breeze moved through the clearing, stirring the ashes of the vanished beasts. The moonlight warmed, no longer cold and sharp, but soft, alive. Alira stood, helping him to his feet. So what happens now? He looked toward the horizon, where the first hints of dawn were breaking. Now we teach others, so they never forget their names, or what they stand for. As they began walking out of the forest, Alira looked over her shoulder one last time. The clearing shimmered faintly where the light had burst, and in that glow, she thought she saw something, two faint figures made of starlight, watching them. One smiled before fading away. Kale followed her gaze. They remember, he said softly. Who? The ones we've lost. He smiled faintly. Love keeps them here. Fear can't touch that. They stepped beyond the trees just as dawn touched the world in gold. The shadows retreated fully, burned away by the new light. Alira turned to him one last time. Kale, yes, she smiled. Thank you, for remembering my name. He looked at her, eyes filled with warmth and something unspoken. Always, he said, because love remembers what fear forgets. The wind carried their words across the valley, where the echoes of night had finally gone silent, leaving behind only the sound of life, and a single name whispered gently by the rising sun,